Oh, we got a special episode today. Welcome back to the Journal of a CNY Entrepreneur. You guys asked for it. You got it. Today's podcast with my friend Sam Holland, owner and founder of No Destination Media. Sam's a 23-year-old recent Syracuse University grad and has taken over the Syracuse Athletics media. The ascension of his media company and his knowledge of marketing is something anyone can take from this episode. We talked about Sam's upbringing, how he got to Syracuse, where he sees No Destination going, and the current state of Syracuse Athletics, and much, much more. And this one was live, and we had a lot of fun. Here we go.
All my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice, that's why. All my life, I've been grinding all my life. Look, all my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice.
Sam,
What's up, brother?
thanks for coming on, bro.
Of course, I'm excited for this.
I was really excited to have you on because, let me tell you why. There's not very many times in life you meet somebody and you mesh with them immediately, and you're like immediately boys, and you like attack life the same way. So I was really, especially given how busy we are, we don't get to link up and have long conversations. So I'm really excited to have you on and get this next hour and chat.
I'm thrilled, bro. It's been a long time coming. I'm excited for this conversation. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, of course. So you got a lot going on, man. You're a busy guy. You're making waves on Syracuse Twitter, Syracuse Instagram. So what are you doing? Who are you? What do you do?
I'm in build mode right now. That's what I like to say. I'm Sam Holland. I'm 23. I graduated from Syracuse this past year. Right now we're building a media marketing agency out of Syracuse, helping brands, businesses, individuals, athletes grow on social media. And we're doing that through the show we started on this couch. We're doing it through social media advertising, marketing for businesses, and then a couple other things we're working on in the background. But I love this community. I've been here the last 4 years. My family's from up here, so it's cool to help out some of these businesses and individuals like kind of grow around here because Syracuse has a big presence across this entire state. So I'm really excited. We've been building for about 2 months now, so we're just getting started.
What's the name of your agency?
No Destination. The agency is called Social Coverage, but it's all No Destination Media.
Yeah. And so one thing I really wanted to pick your brain about is what's really impressed me is your ascension so quickly. I think you already have 1.5 thousand followers on Twitter. You started, a month ago? You've had 500,000 views on multiple videos. What do you attribute that, quick ascension to, and any advice to someone who's building a brand to get those views out so quickly?
It's experience, honestly. So I ran Barstool Syracuse for 4 years. When I got onto that account, so the ecosystem across TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, it was about 32,000 followers 4 years ago when I got on. When I left at the end of last year, it was just a little over 100,000. So like putting the reps in for 4 years definitely helped. I think the big thing that's helping us is original content, especially on Twitter, because a lot of the stuff getting posted is recycled material that people are just commenting on. We're able to put out clips and sound bites that no one else has ever seen before, which I think is why we grew so quickly, because fans of the community got to kind of see the inside of things that they, I guess, don't normally get exposed to. That's what I would say. As far as someone that wants to get into social media, you just have to start. And like, it's scary at times putting your face on something, attaching your face to something, but like, you just have to start and not care about what anyone thinks. Because if you care about what people think, you're done before you even started.
Yeah. I think just being an outsider perspective, one of the things that I think's really helped is having the connections you have and getting the guests on, Kyle McCord, just some of the big name guys you've had on there. How do you think you've built those relationships, and how have you gotten them, on the show so quickly?
I'm just a relationships-oriented person. Like I always have been. I've been very personable, outgoing since I was super, super young. So when I got to Syracuse, when I initially started building connections was right when COVID happened, because I had access to that Barstool Cuse account. I was stuck in a room with nothing to do, and I was just sending off DMs to every single athlete at Syracuse, just introducing myself, connect with them, basically saying, if you ever need anything in the future, let me know. That was kind of how I laid the foundation. And then over the last couple of years, that kind of compounded through my work in NIL with Barstool, just being at Syracuse and being involved in a lot of things going on around here. But I think it just comes down to like not being transactional with people where you expect something back, and just figuring out how you can just provide a little bit of value to make someone's day a little bit better. Because if you do just a small thing, it'll leave an impact on that person. And then it kind of opens the door to start to build a relationship. And I think that's kind of been the key for me, is just not being transactional with anyone, trying to build an actual relationship.
Yeah. I always say giving with no expectation return, right?
Exactly.
And one of the things you said that I definitely wanted to hit on is NIL, hot topic now. I know you're very passionate about NIL, and there's a lot of changes. What are some things that you think are right with NIL and some things you think are wrong with NIL and that you think could be fixed?
The transfer portal right now is wrong because it's free agency on a level that is crazier than any of the professional leagues. So that's wrong. At the same point in time, it's a necessary step to just getting to a point where the players are making money. So I think that piece of it is wrong. There's a lot of stuff going on in the background with contracts that is ugly. Like recently we saw a whole nother group enter the portal after they took their last paycheck from their previous school. There's just stuff like that going on that I think in other aspects of business isn't happening just because the contracts are a little more solidified. I think those are both problems. I think the positives, like one is what you're seeing in the women's sports, especially basketball. The last couple of years, that rise has been due to social media. Like that is the generator behind LSU women's basketball, behind Caitlin Clark. Like it is all based off of what they are doing with their NIL. And I think NIL has been a main driver of that. So that's been really cool to see.
Yeah. I think seeing the Caitlin Clark ascension and Angel Reese ascension in real time has been so much fun and so unique. I don't think women athletes have had that type of exposure. But, as far as NIL, are you guys with, No Destination, and are you guys doing anything with NIL, or how does that kind of work for you?
We're definitely doing some stuff with NIL, but it's tricky because I started the first NIL marketing agency at Syracuse right when NIL became a thing, July of 2021. Toughed it out for about a year. The NIL representation game is hard from a business perspective because you have to think about it like this. People say NIL is $1 billion market, which it probably is.
Sure.
That $1 billion is going to the athletes. If you are the agents for those athletes, you're taking 15 to 20% off those deals. So now we're down to a $150 to $200 million market. Mm-hmm. Second, you eliminate the 1% of athletes. So you eliminate the Kyle McCord, you eliminate the JJ McCarthy, you eliminate those big names, you're down to $50 to $75 million. Then like that piece of the pie is just not big enough. So I found very quickly that hustling for 2 weeks to get a $2,500 deal where we were making $500 off it wasn't a scalable business model. So for No Destination now, we're not focusing on representing any athletes. What we're really trying to do is create partnerships with community members, community businesses, and athletes to create content partnerships where it's not us going out and seeking deals, but it's about us combining something going on in this community to create some type of more viral social media moment.
I think that's really unique. I don't think many agencies are doing that. What is some things that you think, the community in Syracuse at large could do to help you guys spread the word and, make these athletes, their brands build,
I think show out. Like the Quad Walk's a great example of that. Like I think it has, with what Fran's doing and just bringing back kind of the culture that was here a long time ago, I think if the fans are excited for that and they show out, they're going to make that event a lot better. So like just starting there, the more hype that we can build around the things going on in association with the team is great. From our perspective, like one of the things I want to do is use the space we're in right now to host events, meet and greets, that type of stuff to kind of merge the gap between the community and the players. Whether it's getting Dan Blar to come in here and play Xbox with people for an hour and a half or autographs or whatever it is. I think just having a space right here and having connections to the athletes, there's a way to merge the two. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but I think there's a way to do something really cool.
Yeah, I think there's definitely the taste for that. I think people definitely want to do that. I think that'd be really unique, and this is a really cool space for sure.
Appreciate
and
it.
It's one of the things I was curious on. Anyone that wants to open a brick and mortar store or have a YouTube podcast studio, what are some things you did to find your space, and how did this come about?
So No Destination, the whole concept on the company is that there's no destination in life. The journey is everything. Getting this studio set up was a journey in itself because we had no experience doing anything like this. Like I didn't even know what a lease agreement really was before we started doing this, right?
He's 23, folks. It's
yeah, okay. And I'm a finance major. I probably should know that. In terms of tips, it's just like you got to build. Like when we got in here, Adam, my producer, we went to Lowe's, and the first thing we did was we bought light bulbs for all these lights, LEDs that we could change at any time. That was the first step we did. Second we did that, it was like, okay, like we got something here. Now what's next? And what's next? And we just kept building one thing at a time to where we got it to where it is now. Don't get me wrong. There's so much more we could do to actually build this out. But in terms of just getting something up, it was literally about like each step in the process and just compounding, building. Like I like to say, like getting 1% better every single day. Like that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah. Shout out Adam, working for NFL here pretty quick. But so, I think you guys have grown and seen some growth really quickly. And, you were saying next day, next step, next step. Have you taken any time to reminisce on how cool this journey has been? As you said, the tagline's the journey is everything. What do you think's been the coolest or maybe most surreal part of building this so far?
The coolest thing is thinking back to like 2 months ago. I drove up here in my car with my life packed into my car, not knowing where I was going to stay, not knowing what was going on. Studio wasn't even a thought yet. I just came up here to start to create motion. Literally used points at a hotel one night, asked one of my buddies, so I crashed at his house, crashed there for 3 weeks. And I just remember coming back to his crib every single night and just being like, this happened today. Then I come back next day, like we're building. And it's just cool now to think about that time period where we had nothing and we were talking about the studio conceptually. Like imagine putting a studio on Marshall Street, kind of thinking that it would never happen. Now sitting on this couch, recording like this is my 13th time shooting here, like shooting a ton of stuff here, just looking back at it, it kind of brings it all full circle. At the same point in time, it's all about the future. Like the past is cool, but I'm now sitting here thinking about where I want us to be in 3 months. And I'm hoping to get kind of that same energy of being able to look back at this moment of us talking, saying like, that happened.
Yeah. I think for both of us in 3, 6, 12 months from now, it'll be like, holy shit, man.
You know what I say?
And we thought we were the shit then, bro.
Last year is about branding. This one's about expanding.
Hell yeah.
It's time.
Hell yeah. So growing up, did you think that you'd, were you an entrepreneur kid, or is this something
I was doing lemonade stands at like 5 years old out in the corner. My first business was flipping trading cards, like baseball cards. I did for like 4 years. I'm like a diehard Boston sports fan all around. Shout out the Celtics right now. But I started with cards in high school. I was just really involved across the board. And then when I got to college, it was the same way. And I've always known I was going to work for myself. Like since I was very, very young. It was just about figuring out a lane and an avenue that would really allow that, because obviously there's a lot of things that weigh into a decision like that, starting with money, right? Because this life is not for everyone, where you're trying to build something off the ground with little to no security. There's a lot of sacrifices that come in. At the same time, there's something about like this journey of doing something like this and learning on the fly every single day that I think is super special. And like I just graduated, all of my friends, probably 95% of my friends are working corporate jobs, and like they complain to me about what they're doing. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I live a very busy, very stressful life, but at the same time, I have flexibility to kind of do what I want when I want to. Obviously, the majority of that is business related stuff. Right. But I'm just, I don't know, I guess to summarize and all that, I'm very just appreciative that this is all happening. And it's, once again, the journey's everything. Like looking back at it, everything fell right into place how it was supposed to.
And the reality is, not only do you just have the free time, but you're doing cool stuff. You're hanging out with your boys, talking to athletes all day. I mean, it's a pretty cool life, man.
Yeah, it's fun.
So where did you grow up?
Andover, Massachusetts, like 25 minutes outside of Boston. Yeah.
And why did you decide to go to Syracuse?
Most of my family's from upstate New York. My mom grew up in Rochester. My grandfather is from Syracuse. He like grew up sneaking into the dome to go to games. My aunt lives in Ithaca. My uncles live in Buffalo. Like everyone is from up here. So I grew up making this drive up to Syracuse, the 4.5-hour drive from Boston. When I was applying to schools, this is the first school I toured, had a great tour, and then honestly didn't think about it again. Didn't think I was going to come here. And then kind of on a whim, I got into the Newhouse Whitman dual program. And the second that happened, I kind of just jumped at it, came back up here, and never really looked back.
What other schools were you considering?
Tulane, Brown, Ohio State was the big one. It came down to Syracuse, Ohio State. Ohio State was just a little too big for me, even though now Syracuse feels so small and I wish it was bigger. But I just remember that campus, it was like 40-minute walk from one side to the other. I was like, I don't think I can do this. Those are the big ones. Providence was another one. But in the end, it was actually Syracuse, Ohio State, and Maryland, and I got denied from Maryland, and that was where I wanted to go.
So if you got accepted to Maryland, you were going to go to Maryland?
Yeah.
Crazy how life works out, man.
Journey's everything.
So kind of being a Syracuse implant, what do you think from an outsider's perspective?
Call me a Syracuse implant?
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, what?
I'm going to start using that term.
All right, you're a Syracuse implant. What do you think is, so unique about this community and different from, kind of where you grew up?
I think what's interesting is that my first couple years here as an undergrad, Syracuse is just the campus to me. There was no Syracuse, the community. And then the last couple of years, I've started to build outside of it. Even just like, we always talk about food in our show, like Marshall Street food. And like, I refuse to eat here. The last 2 years, I have not gotten a single meal on Marshall Street besides Purple Banana. Shout out Purple Banana.
I've never been there.
Yeah, you should go. Try it out. Luke's the man. But I started going off campus. And the second I started going down to the city, I just realized how it's just a cool town, honestly. And me and my friends started going downtown a lot rather than going out to the places that most students go to. That and the other piece is just in 4 years, seeing the development that's going on. Like, this community is ripe for, I don't want to say a new beginning, but it's ripe for change, I think, and innovation, and Micron coming here and all these different things. Combine that with football and basketball coming up this season. Like, I just think in general, from a social media perspective, there's so much that can be done to highlight what's going on here. And what I always talk about is that, like, this is a college, but this is upstate New York. Like, this city is the brand of everything like sports and entertainment related up here. So the market's a lot bigger than people think. And like, ideally, just with no destination, I'm trying to have, like, this is crazy to say, but like the Deion Sanders prime effect. Yeah. It's not that, but it's like, I think Syracuse as a community is ripe for like social media stuff, the way they're doing it there.
I think Fran is going to do what Colorado meant to do. Like, where the noise was there, right? And they had all the eyes. Game day was in on them. Like, everybody was paying attention, but then they got on the field and what happened, right? So I think people are going to rally behind Syracuse and the story and the program coming back. But I think we're going to win games. And I think that's going to be huge for the community because, like you said, I think everything's coming together at one time. Micron's coming. Other businesses are going to follow. We got a new basketball coach. Basketball's on the rise again. We have a new football coach that's taking over college football. The football program's coming up. Feels like the community's all coming together at one time.
You should have seen me. So we were at the gala the other day. I tried to pitch Fran. I caught him on the way out. He was there for like an hour and a half. The entire time he was there, people were just coming up to him left and right. And I was like, I needed to get in front of him, but I was like, I'm not going to be one of the people.
You're not going to be that guy.
Now. So I was kind of waiting. I was being strategical. I saw him walk out with his wife, and I was like, they're leaving. So hopped out one of the corners, got out to the exit side, and like walked past them. And I was like, Frank, can I walk you out? And I walked for him for 60 seconds, got my pitch in. Still hasn't gotten back to me yet, but it's going to happen. I'm manifesting that into the world. That Fran Brown podcast will be coming sometime in 2024.
You heard that. It's coming. Fran's a good dude, man. So me and Gio, my oldest son, we went to, so the first thing King Joseph Edwards did when he got here was did that community outreach thing, gave away goodie bags to women, and me and Gio went and helped. And we met Fran. He shook Gio's hand, got on his knee, and said, "Oh, let me tie your shoe." And ever since that, like, he's the man. Yeah. Everything you hear about Fran is true. He is. Bro. I get it, dude. When you hang out with him, I get it. I would want to play for him too. I get it. He's the man.
What's cool to me is that, like, I think Fran's great. I think the coaches he's brought in all have personalities, and I think that's gonna get shown throughout this year. Because Fran's awesome, but like, Nick Williams?
Yeah, he's the man too.
Like, I want to get that guy on a camera and just get him to start talking.
That might be bigger than the Fran Brown episode.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
And it seems like, so as much as the recruits love Fran, he's kind of like the godfather of it all. But you'll notice they all post pictures and hang out and talk to Nick Williams. I feel like he's the guy that when Elijah eventually gets a head coaching job, Nick has to step into the DC role just to keep him here.
I agree.
So I want to kind of go back to talking about the community a little bit. Because I think, what you said, I think one of the special things about Syracuse is downtown. It's a big city, but it feels so small when you go down there. So many good places to eat. You got, Scholars and Champs. So many cool local places down there. Any places that, as far as food-wise, you love? Because you like to talk about food. Let's talk food.
I like Salt City Market.
Salt City Market's so cool.
There's just so many places there. Like, what I've been doing recently is, typically we work in here. Sometimes it gets a little loud just because with our whole team in here. So when I need to go focus and do deep work, I'll go to Salt City in the morning, coffee in the coffee shop, and then when the rest of it opens up, I'll go and I try and try something new every day, every time I'm down there. I just think it's cool. My sister's adopted from Thailand, so growing up, my family just ate a lot of different kinds of food, and so because of that, I'm like the least picky eater in the world. So when I go there, it's always cool to try something new. That's one place, not downtown, but the Preserve at 405. Like, I'm putting on for y'all right now if you don't know this place.
The Preserve at 405 goes crazy.
Yeah, so slept on. That's my go-to place to take people, and like I've probably taken 5 or 6 people there, and no one has ever known about it before I brought them there.
It's like tucked away, like behind the mall, kind of.
Yep. And I got to shout out the last one. Like my favorite place to go in Syracuse is Dino, by far. And I perfected it now where I can order ahead, because you can't get a res there. Like it's impossible.
I feel Dino's the obvious one. Everybody knows about Dino. Prime's good. Prime's Steakhouse is so good.
I found what's the bar around the corner from Dino? Why can't I think of the Pub Street?
Press Room Pub.
Press Room Pub.
Do you know the best part about Press Room Pub?
I know it's owned by Orange Crate, the same guy that owns it.
Having a parking lot that puts 600 cars downtown.
Yep.
You can go to Press Room and park on site, dude.
Bro, parking in this city is, especially on campus. I've been up here for 2.5 months and I have 9 parking tickets so far.
Do you pay them?
I pay them.
Mine are in the car.
Dude, I get scared about that type of stuff.
I got booted one time.
Yeah, that's like my worst. That's one of my worst fears is getting booted or getting towed.
It's $400 to get that boot off my car.
Does it just sit there until you get it done?
Well, I immediately paid it off. I finally paid it.
Fair enough. That's how they get you to pay. Is they put the boot on it.
And the crazy thing, I was at work in my work parking garage, so they
found you and booted you
in the parking garage on like the 4th floor, and they booted me. I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding.
Shout out the Syracuse parking.
No, not shout out Syracuse parking. I had like 2 tickets.
Yeah, no, that's tough.
They booted me. That's crazy. So back to No Destination a little bit. As you guys grow, is it kind of like just trial by fire, or do you have anybody kind of helping you, any mentors or anything like that?
Yeah, I've got a couple mentors. Adam Weitzman, for one. He's been key in just helping grow this. A couple other guys in the community that have kind of been not teaching me the ways, but showing me kind of some of the ways to act around here to build myself in the community a little more, which is great. I have this group chat called Build Mode with, I think it's 11 kids my age that are all entrepreneurs hustling. And that's like our community that we hope to grow eventually in the future to be a much bigger thing. But right now, that's where we bounce a lot of ideas, talk about everything that's going on. For me, though, just in terms of like thinking ahead and roadmap, like I don't believe in 5-10 year roadmaps right now, because for us, it's like we're pivoting every month, every 2 months, just because of how fast things are going. Like when I got up here, it was supposed to be a social media marketing agency. That was it. There was no podcast studio. There's none of that. Then this space came into play and we pivoted the whole business to start doing these podcasts. Recently, like we just shot the Jim Boeheim Gala, and now we're starting to see that there may be a whole side of our business that is just doing event coverage. We also had some conversations with people about personal branding for individuals. And like, that's where I want this all to end up, because I'm like such a big proponent of growing your personal brand, especially on Instagram. Like Instagram's the big one. And I think there are a lot of people that can benefit from that in a lot of different ways. That's where I want this company to go. It's just about kind of configuring everything to get there. That is my long-term goal. But at the same point in time, like, I'm just a big believer that if you keep doing a bunch of different things, opportunities will pop up. And like people ask me now, like after Syracuse, where are you going to move? My answer is just wherever the opportunities are.
Yeah. There's one thing that you brought up that I kind of want to rant about, because I think the 5 and 10 year plan is stupid.
Talk your shit.
Having a 5-year plan is dumb, dude. Because exactly what you said, life moves so fast. Why would you pass up an opportunity? You lock yourself into, here's what I want to be in 5 years. I just think that's stupid. And people asking that in job interviews and like, what? I don't fucking know, man. I'm going to be a good dad. I'm going to work hard, and whatever opportunities come up, I'm going to take advantage of that opportunity. Life moves too fast, and I don't want to miss an opportunity. You know what I mean? So I love that you have that attitude where whatever happens tomorrow, we're going to take advantage of whatever happens.
You got to just trust it. Like, I'm a very risk-oriented person. I was saying this to someone yesterday, like, with almost everything in my life, I'm either all in or all out. And with something like this, I'm all in, but I'm being very patient and deliberate with everything we're doing. So when I say don't have a long-term plan, I have a bunch of different plans of how it could go. It's just about having one solidified structure in place. Like, I know we're going to get to the final point. It's just about like which path, which journey are we going to take? And I think just having that mindset, that is what has really changed me just as a person. It's like having the mindset of appreciating every little success and failure along the way. If you're doing that and not worried about being rich one day or getting that beach house or whatever it may be. If you're being driven by the moment and what's going on right now, it's so much more powerful than being driven by some type of goal you're going towards at the end. So I try and just enjoy, like literally enjoy every single day. And I think this lifestyle of being an entrepreneur is super helpful because you're learning every single day. And I enjoy learning, so I enjoy the journey.
So doing the Bayheim Gala, that's pretty cool. And me and you talked about that off camera a little bit. How did that opportunity arise, and how did you get yourself to be able to do something like that?
Long-term relationship building.
So the same thing coming up over and over again.
Same thing. Like the people with something like that, and most events that are happening, I mean, I would say anywhere by people that are older, it's like a lot of the time they have people that they rely on for these types of things. So it's hard to break into something like that. So the reason we got that opportunity is because there's 2 or 3 guys in Syracuse, pretty big community members that I've been building relationships with over the last couple of years, and not expecting anything from them, but just building the relationships, learning from them. They give me pointers on what I'm doing. If I can ever help them with the social media stuff, I do that. It's been like amazing to meet some of these guys. For the gala, one of them who has been helping me, and I've been kind of working with a little bit on the athlete social media stuff, he brought up the opportunity, pitched it to Julie Bayheim, and we ended up getting it done. And like, we walked in having no idea what to expect at all. But our team killed it. I was just impressed by how professional everyone was, because there were like almost 700 people there. And I would say the average age was probably 45. And so we're all 20 to 23 years old. So getting the feedback afterwards that everyone thought we were very professional meant a lot to me, just because we were going into a situation that we probably weren't supposed to be in, and we impressed, which is always a good thing.
Yeah, I always love finding myself in situations that I probably shouldn't be in. But I gotta...
You want to know a situation I wasn't supposed to be in? DeMar Hamlin at Crate last February. That was a situation I wasn't supposed to be in.
That whole weekend was a situation you probably shouldn't have been in.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
So for those that don't know, go ahead. You can do it.
Tell the story?
Yeah.
So when I was running Barstool my senior year, this was 2022 to 2023. That was the golden Adam Weitzman era where, and by the way, I actually want to talk about this for a second, because I just want to say from a student perspective, what Adam was doing around here made everyone's college experience so much better. Like my first experience, I'm getting a little sidetracked here.
No, we got time.
My first experience at a Syracuse basketball game, one of the first, the one I remember the most, was when he brought Tom Brady, Julian Edelman, and Jimmy Fallon to the game. And Jimmy Fallon went down to the band and started like orchestrating. I remember that so well. Do you know what the final score of that game was?
I don't even remember what game it was.
It was UNC. We got smoked by like 35.
Oh.
So I don't even remember the score, because I just remember that time. And there's just countless other days where the same thing happened. And I remember it not necessarily for the game, but for everything that was going around it. And I think a lot of people around here really appreciated that. But I was running Barstool at that point in time. And so when Adam would bring someone, he would let us know, and we would promote it to try and get people to the game, get people to be aware about who's coming, etc. And I did that with Adam for almost 2 years. And then it was a weekend. I had 2 of my friends from home up here. We went out to Orange Crate. We were out pretty late. It was a tough morning. I woke up to a phone call, 7:30 in the morning, and it was Adam calling me. And he was like, "Hey buddy, how's it going?" And I was like, "Good." Like I was struggling that morning. And he was like, "I'm bringing my good friend DeMar to Orange Crate this afternoon. Like, I appreciate everything you've been doing for me. I would love for you to come. Like, bring your friend or your girlfriend." And I was like, "I don't have a girlfriend, but I have my 2 friends from home. Can they come?" And he was like, "Yeah." So I went over, woke my boys up. They both went absolutely crazy. And I think I gave them like probably the best day they've ever had at college campus. We went Orange Crate, chilling with DeMar Hamlin, Adam, their guys. And it was just like one of those memories that I look back on, like, how did that actually happen?
Yeah. And the other cool thing that happened while you were on Barstool is Syracuse PBT.
Uh-huh.
Let's talk about Syracuse PBT.
I love talking about this.
Go ahead.
What do you want to talk about?
How did that happen? So I'm from I'm not from Syracuse, but I'm a Syracuse implant kind of too. So I grew up like 40 minutes north. So I grew up coming here. I love Syracuse, right? And first thing I did when I moved out was move to Syracuse. All that to say, Syracuse is not the best bar town in America. There's 1 bar on campus, 2 if you count Fagan's.
We don't count Fagan's, at least I don't.
Right. So you did it, man.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. I remember I was sitting on my couch in February. This is what I mean about the journey and everything, because it's just weird. Like my personal Instagram, like I said, I'm super into personal branding. I was posting a lot on Instagram. My personal Instagram got deleted by Instagram in October of my senior year. And so I had no gram for 6 months, and it was killing me. I ended up getting
That's
it back.
some Gen Z shit.
Yeah,
right there,
totally. Totally. I ended up getting it back February, I think 14th. 2 days later, Portnoy puts out this video of him like talking and him saying that Barstool's in this best bar town competition. Whoever wins, he's coming to your town. And I saw that and I was like, okay, what is this about? And I read into the rules a little bit, and the point system for voting was all done off social media. So based off tweets with the hashtag SyracuseBBT, TikTok views, and Instagram posts. TikTok, what I realized very quickly that most other people didn't, was that TikTok views, it was like every 100 views was a point, where every Instagram post was a point. So they wanted people to post on TikTok, and I realized that right off the bat. To be honest, I didn't think we were going to win. I think the first round we had like Binghamton, we had like 150 votes. And then it just started to catch around here. Like I hit up all of the athletes. This comes back to just networking from Barstool Cutes my sophomore years. I hit up all the athletes, businesses, creators, people that have graduated from here, asking them to share it. We did 2 bar crawls on campus where we were encouraging people to post on TikTok. We did like 40 million impressions in 2 weeks, beat Penn State, West Virginia, Pullman. Everyone got involved. Adam was involved. And it was just like, I mean, we literally set a trend at Syracuse University for 2 weeks. And then the best part about it was that ended, and then the celebration was a month later. So during that month, I was up here, bro. I was so, like, I was just, that period of time, second semester of my senior year, was like the most bliss I've ever had, just given like the anticipation and the hype up to that event, and then like the event actually going well. Because in college, like, there are events happening all the time.
Right.
The percentage of the time that they actually go well and like better than well is very, very small. And so that event, the fact that 3,000-4,000 people showed up, the content was amazing, there were big names there, like it was just one of the coolest things. And like I just love it, 'cause it's something, like you said, Syracuse is not the best bar town in the country, but the fact that I can hang my hat on that we marketed that is what I think is the coolest thing to me.
I think it's what you've done with No Destination is really impressive, but getting Syracuse is the best bar town in America with 1 bar on campus.
No, it's different, right? It's different. It's some
a
like
tip of the cap.
top tier marketing campaign right there.
And also, it wasn't just like an event.
No, it was
who was there? What happened
at the event?
Yeah.
So I think it was it Friday or Saturday? Saturday. It was April 21st. I think it was a Saturday. 1 o'clock we had Castle. I think there were like 2,000 people at Castle for like the pregame. Then around 3 o'clock, Portnoy, Josh Richards, Brianna Chicken Fry, Weitzman all showed up. They went to Harry's. Questionable decision. They went to Harry's for like an hour.
Major question.
Yeah.
Questionable.
They didn't go to Fagan's though, which was probably. I'm gonna stop talking. They went to Harry's for an hour and Crate for I think 3 hours. Silvana, Dave's girlfriend, was there too. And it was just a cool day. I had a really good time with Josh because he's like a year younger than me, and he was just running around. Dave was a little reserved, I think, given that he's like 40 years old and it was all college kids. But like, I've never seen Orange Crate that packed. TJ, was sitting behind the camera, was like up on top of the roof taking pictures. Like, the content we got out of that day was just gold. And then the best part about it was we set up a concert at Castle Court for afterwards. That was not sanctioned by Barstool. It's not sanctioned by the city. Like, it was a very spontaneous event. My whole goal was get it in Josh, Brianna, and Dave's ear to go, because they had no responsibility, like no reason to go.
They're just here.
And so the entire time they were here, I was like in Josh's ear, like, yo, this is sick, but you got to come to the after party. Like, you got to come. Like, I told them this probably 10 times. Afterwards, they ended up coming, pulled up to the stage. There were like a couple thousand people there, and it was one of the coolest days. I didn't start drinking that day till like 7 or 8 o'clock, just because there was so much going on. By the time I got to that concert, I don't remember that concert, if I'm being honest.
Seems like Josh had
he had a great
more
time.
fun than anyone else there.
Yeah, he had a great time.
So hanging out with Portnoy, I think there's a lot of opinions about him. What was he like in person?
Portnoy's cool. I mean, he was very reserved, like I said, just I think given that we were all younger, but he was a cool guy, very respectful, very nice. I have a lot of respect for him just because of how he operates on the internet and how he doesn't give a fuck. I don't know if I can swear in here, but he doesn't. Okay, he doesn't give a fuck about what anyone thinks, which I think, once again, is the number one thing with social media, is just not caring. So I respect him for that. Same point in time, the Barstool Viceroy program, so the program that runs the Barstool Cuses and the Barstool Wisconsins and all these other pages, Dave isn't tapped into that. Mm-hmm. Working with that program was a challenge in a lot of different ways. And I think like coming into college, Barstool for me was like a pinnacle of like where I wanted to work. And after working with that program for a couple years, it wasn't really something that I had a ton of interest in.
Sorry.
We had another
You're going to be on the episode. Just welcome yourself into the show, man.
What up?
Go ahead. You're good. I'm sorry. Stop.
I don't want to get into it too much, but I feel like for Barstool, we did a lot for them. Like, we got this town voted as the best bar town in the country. I know for a fact we made a lot of money off that event. Like, I know the merch sales, and then what was on top of that was a lot of money, and I just never got any recognition or credit for anything, which is how a lot of this, like, that's how life works. So, like, I'm not super pressed about it, but at the same time, like, it was just interesting to me because, once again, like, the journey, like, coming into school, I thought that, like, that was my dream job. And then after working with them, I realized that the grass wasn't as green as I thought. Good.
I got one of those shirts, one of those Syracuse BBT shirts.
Ones?
They were sick.
Yeah, I got one of those that is still in the plastic wrap that I don't think I'm ever going to open.
That'll be a sick vintage shirt. Like,
yeah, right? That's what I'm saying.
There's something you said that I kind of want to discuss and touch on, because I think if I can give anyone advice as like an entrepreneur trying to build a brand, it's just not giving a fuck what other people think. And I think it's a skill that's hard to master, especially in today's day and age. Where do you think it comes for you? Because at such a young age, at 23, I think that's kind of when I figured it out too. But where do you think that comes from for you?
I used to care a lot about what people think, and I think the first time I really started to put myself out there was the middle of my senior year. Like that, my senior year at Syracuse, I started to put my face on things and like really stamp Sam Holland into Barstool and Out to Win and what was going on. And when I did that, good things started to happen. Whether it's BBT, whether it's building relationships with people that I wouldn't have been able to build relationships with, like a lot of good things came with attaching my name to different things. At the same time, there's a negative side to that because a lot of people are going to support you and like you, and there are a lot of people that are going to feel the opposite way. And like, don't get me wrong, like literally the day of BBT, after that, like I pulled up to a frat house, and one of the kids like spat on me, like because he was tight about something. Like I don't really know what, but shit like that will happen from time to time, and it's one of those things where you just have to disconnect from people that act that way towards you. The big thing, the way I've reframed it in my head where I don't care, is just detaching myself from the content we put out. So, and I'll put it like this, like I think at this point we've put out 8 or 9 podcast episodes. The first one with Kyle McCord did really well. Rest of them haven't done poorly, but the numbers have dropped off. I'm not super concerned about the numbers for 2 reasons. 1, because I know if we're consistent, it's going to work out in the end. 2, because, like, to be honest with you, I watched the first 5 episodes we put out. Since then, I haven't even been watching them because I'm not super proud of the content. There hasn't been much creative development around it. There hasn't been a ton of structure. It's really just been conversations. And I know there's a lot more we can do. At the same time, like, we're running the agency, we're trying to build this thing, and I haven't had the time really to put it in. But I've been able to detach myself where I can watch an episode now, and I'm watching the No Destination show. I'm not watching Sam Holland. Like, I'm not watching myself. I'm watching someone else on camera. That is me, but I'm watching someone else have a discussion. So just because of that, like I look at our intros in some of our videos and they're like the cringiest things ever. Like it's me like stuttering midway through the sentence talking. And now I just don't give a fuck. So I'm like, once again, the company, No Destination, the journey's everything. Like we're showing the journey. We're showing the rawness of everything. And so it just comes back to that. Like the mindset of embracing what is happening right now and the process you're going through and the winning and the loses and all that kind of stuff. That's where, for me, I've become comfortable with putting things out, even when they don't look great, just because I know that it's all part of the process and it's all kind of what needs to happen.
Before you can be good at anything and find the end game, whatever this is. By nature, you just have to suck at it.
Exactly.
And just I think being raw and showing that, and again, in 12 months from now, when we look back, we're going to be like, wow, these sucked. But that was part of the journey, and it was fun. And I'm thankful for it, and it's gotten me here.
People worry too much. This is the first thing you asked me. People worry too much about what other people are going to think and what something's going to look like. But, like, dude, if I would love to see, like, LeBron's first shot. Like, it probably wasn't very good. Like, no one's going to be good the first time
Imagine
around.
if that was on camera.
Right? So you're putting it on camera and you're exposing yourself to people, and that's scary. But the second you get over that and you continue to be consistent, it's going to get better, like, naturally. Even I'll put it like this. Like I said, I'm not proud of the episodes, but what I will say is I think I've gotten better at having the conversations just after doing them. Like, I'm not doing as much prep. I'm not thinking about it as much. We're just having dialogue.
Yeah.
And that's just a product of doing it 8, 9, 10 times.
For myself, I think it's the same thing. This is like my 7th or 8th episode, so we're kind of going through it together at the same time. And I look back on my first episode, and it was with a really good friend of mine, and even then, I look back on it, and this was 2 months ago, and I'm like,
so much better.
What I've improved so much. But I think if you're going to be good at anything, or if you're going to be someone who's going to be an entrepreneur, put out content, you have to understand that people are going to have an opinion, good and bad, and you just need to be at peace with that.
The biggest thing I think is in life and this world, whether you're being an entrepreneur or you're just going to work a job, is just relationships and networking. Like, that is everything. Like, I mean, just put it this way. I think that coming out of school, I had a pretty solid resume. Bunch of internships, started my own business, Barstool Syracuse, like, did a lot of cool things. I didn't know I was going to start my own business, so at the end of last year, I was applying to jobs. Applied to probably 100 jobs through portals. Didn't get a single interview. And, like, I thought, like, I do have pretty solid resume. I then started networking and relationships, and opportunities started coming, and one of those opportunities eventually led me to being able to start this business.
Right.
But it just goes to show that, like, if you're looking for a job or you're looking to level up in your career or whatever that may be, you're not going to do that through a portal. You're going to do it through people. And one other thing I'll touch on with this is that a lot of people say not to do business with friends. And I'm curious what you think about that. My take on it is that all of my friends are doing business, right? Those are the people that I've surrounded myself with. And, like, if I'm able to enter a business relationship with someone I trust, who I already trust from prior experience, I'm going to do that 10 times out of 10. And while you have to keep that boundary, the business to personal side, and, like, that's something I struggle with a lot, is differentiating business versus personal. At the same time, like, that's how you build something that's strong, is people that all believe in a similar mission. And hiring has been one of the biggest challenges I've had over the last couple of years, just because it's a learning process of figuring out what works and what doesn't. And the one thing I've realized is that working with people that I trust and know and have worked with before is the solution to success.
My answer to that is it depends on how you look at friendship. So if friendship's very transactional to you and everyone's a friend, then you probably don't want to do business with friends, right? But for me, I take friendships very seriously. And if I consider you a friend, like, I got you, like, it's till death, right? Like, so if I trust you that much, why would I not trust you enough to be in business with you? There's only 5 or 10 people that I would consider a friend. Everyone else, it's all love, but as a friend, there's 5 or 10 people that I ride with hard, right? So if there's, 5 or 10 people that I'm really close with, there's nothing that I would trust you more with than to do business with you. So I completely agree that I would have no problem doing business with friends. But one of the things that, I really admire about you, as I said in the intro, is there's not many people that attack life with such ferocity as I do. You'll call me at 8:30 at night on a FaceTime and just want to talk shop for 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. Where do you think that, have you always been that way? Where do you think that comes from?
My brain doesn't turn off, bro. Like, that's the only way to put it. Like, anyone on my team, I think, will tell me, like, I am probably the king of firing off phone calls after 10:30 p.m. because that's when my brain, like, I'm typically working, whether it's meetings, deep work, whatever, throughout the day. And when it hits, I don't know, 8:30, 9:30, and I'm done, I go eat, and then the brain just starts to go. And I typically don't turn off for a while. So that, like, I'm just always on. The other piece is, like, having a business like this, like, I would say I'm thinking about no destination probably 98% of the time. Yeah. Like, and there are a lot of sacrifices that come with that, from my friends, both at Syracuse, in Boston, everywhere else that I don't get the chance to talk to as much. There's the family side of it where I just don't get to talk to my family maybe as much as I want to.
Mhm.
There are a lot of sacrifices, but like I'm in this, my back's against the wall and like it has to work. So I'm just sacrificing a lot to make this work right now. And I think that's why like I never turn off and why I love being able to just call someone and just without having to catch up. Like if you're someone that's my friend and like friendship for me is a little different. Like after a couple good interactions, I'm willing to help someone and do whatever I can to continue to build that.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, like I don't like to call people to catch up. I will, hey, what's going on? How are you? Okay, what do you think about this?
Yep.
And start to have like a productive conversation. That's the way I approach like these business friendships, as you might want to call them, where we're constantly just talking shop. And like, I think one of my biggest strengths is, and I've been saying this whole episode, is networking and talking. And like, I probably talk to a lot of people on a regular basis, just picking their brains, them picking my brains, and like, I'm just in a constant flow of communication, which is part of why like some people would say I'm starting to become a little bit of a Syracuse insider, just because I'm in the waves of a lot of the information that's happening.
I just want to bring up the Syracuse insider thing because that's so funny. I think we both stumbled on that on accident. Like people tell me they have my tweet notifications on because they want breaking news.
Yeah, I did, bro, before I even knew you.
And people hitting my line, DMing me. What do we think about this? What do we think about that? It's been so weird because I did not, like we talked about off camera when we first linked up. I did not do it on purpose. Yeah. It was completely organic. And the Fran Brown thing. Yeah. I started posting the funny memes, and then it just builds and it builds. It's the journey, man. And now. Really is. And now we kind of know more than we should. It's one of those things, once again, where you just if you put yourself in situations, like you put yourself in situations to succeed, you're going to fall into things. That's like where opportunities pop up. Once again, you create enough chaos, doing as many things as possible, opportunities will pop up. When they do, you just got to take them. Going back to what we talked about before, fuck a 5-year plan, because one of those things pops up that can change everything. You got to take it. Right? Do you think you're too focused on business right now and you're going to burn out? No. You're all in? Yeah. All in? No, I'm like, we talk about this too. Like, I'm probably at as a test 60% capacity right now. Most of that is because my whole team, everyone's been in school, right? This summer, like, I got people to hold me accountable now, which is a scary fucking thing. Yeah. Because for the last 3 months, like, I can take a break. Like, they're in class, so they're doing a project. Like, I can take time off. No one says anything. Like, this summer, I'm hoping they hold me accountable. Yep. And I know they are, because I'm going to be on their ass to be working literally 24/7. That's the type of shit that you need to make something happen in this world, because if you're not, other people are working. So, I don't know. I'm prepared to sacrifice the next 5 years of my life to turn what we're building into something that becomes a lot bigger than just us. And yeah, I hinted at this before, but there are a lot of sacrifices that come with that. But it's something I've thought about a lot and something I'm willing to do just because I know what's at our fingertips if we execute. The sacrifices and working hard, do you like feed off other people's energy? Oh yeah. Like when you when you give me a FaceTime at 10 o'clock at night, I'm like, yeah, he's working, I better be working. Yeah. No, I feed off people's energy. I really get motivation from people. Like, I don't want to drop any name. There's one story I always tell about someone at this school that told me I was never going to be anything, and who's now in a position of fundraising for the school. And like, I'm just plotting like that, doing something like that happens, where now a goal of mine is to be in a position 20 years from now where I can come to him and be like, let's have that discussion. Like, the table is now flipped. Things like that, where people treat me in a certain way, they stick. Yep. And like, I don't hold grudges, but I remember things. Mm-hmm. One thing I like to say is, I see everything, but I don't see everything, and I hear everything, but I don't hear everything. Where like, that's bars. Yeah, right. I'm stealing that. That's like, there's information coming and flowing, and I don't always have to say. You don't always have to speak on it, but like, hearing shit like that sometimes, it just gives you that extra edge you need to prove someone wrong or prove yourself right. I'm the same exact way. Yeah. I don't hold grudges, but I don't forget anything. And it's kind of ironic that this has gotten brought up, because I'm graduating from Syracuse with my MBA in 2 weeks. And I was a very bad student in high school. I had like 73 average. Mm-hmm. I was like, damn, 390 out of 420. Damn, bro. And my high school counselor, I remember, I already got the Instagram post ready, bro.
Yeah.
He said, don't bother going to college because you're not getting in, and if you do, you're not going to make it.
What's that caption going to be?
He was right.
I think about captions like really far in advance.
So do I. Got so many written out, man.
Yeah.
But it's funny the way, again, it always comes back to it's the journey. He was right at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't prepared to be a college student, but I didn't forget when I was prepared what he said. Because look now.
Yep.
In 2 weeks, I'm going to have an MBA from Syracuse. No one in my family's ever gone to college. And I didn't even do it for me or him. I did it for them.
Yeah.
In there. So they know that they can.
Would you say that's your biggest motivators?
100%, yeah. I mean, my dad wasn't around. His dad wasn't around.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was hard. It was just me and my mom. And so they need something to look up to, man. There's no legacy that I didn't have a legacy to live up to, or I didn't have anyone to show me the way. Now, you know, I'm in boardrooms and conversations that, again, I probably shouldn't be in. Got relationships with people like Adam Weitzman in my phone that I can call right now, and he'll do anything I need. I'm going to have an MBA from Syracuse, so they know now that's who we are and that's what we do. And if that's what they want to do, those options are open for them.
Yep.
So they have a legacy to live up to, and that's really important to me.
Yep.
Do you think about that?
I think about that. I get my motivation 2 places. Externally, like I just talked about, and then my family. Like, I had a very good childhood. My dad was in business. My mom was just the most amazing mom in the entire world. I'm like so close with both of them still to this day, like closer than we've ever been. I am trying to redefine success in my family and what that looks like, and just be able to make sure that they can live a really solid end of their lives. That's probably the biggest thing that motivates me, and why I'm trying to do everything I'm doing quickly and right now, because like I want them to be able to live easy at the end, and so that motivates me. But at the same time, like so I have 2 siblings that are both younger, and I've always been the role model for both of them. My sister's adopted. My brother is 3 years younger. He was troublemaker all the time, and I was always the person that they looked up to, just the role model. And like, I think that just growing up like that has shaped me into like being a leader now, just because that's what I was doing at a very young age, and like I owe all of that to my parents. So my biggest motivator is just like honestly making them proud at the end of the day. And they're not the type of people where they're like my parents are not hard on me where they're like, we're not proud of you, whatever. Like, they already are. But like, I'm trying to get it to a point where we always used to joke. My dad wanted to play guitar after college. He tried for 4 years, didn't end up doing it, made it to business. When I started doing this company, when I told my parents I was going to go on my own, they had the same response. They said, go try it. Like, I don't think either of them actually believed. So if I'm like, one of the things that is motivating me is like, I don't think they really believed. So now if I can go turn this into something that's going to be a big aha moment for them. And that's that's a big piece of what drives me.
So you said you want to redefine success.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I don't think I have a very common opinion on what success is. And I'm curious when you say you want to redefine success, what does that mean?
I just want to leave an impact that's a lot bigger than myself, honestly. And I don't really know what that looks like yet, but like, I'm already starting to see it around here. Like some of the stuff we're doing, highlighting foundations, highlighting some of these smaller businesses, like the way we're able to help other people is something that's really inspiring for me. But I don't know, like, I think I was born into such an interesting time with social media and everything that there's just a real opportunity to carve out a path and a journey that other people haven't been on before. So I don't know really what my definition of success is, which is why I'm trying to redefine it.
Bar.
Yeah.
I think for me it's twofold. Number one, internally it's just being good up here.
Yeah.
Right? Just being happy and feeling like I'm excited to wake up again tomorrow. If you're excited to wake up tomorrow, you're successful. No matter if you're working at McDonald's with 3 kids and you're making ends meet, if you're good up here and you're ready to wake up tomorrow, you won. Number one. And number two, externally, I just think, like what you said, leaving an impact that's greater than me. And when I'm gone and my time's done, like, what do people have to say about me? How did I make them feel? Yeah. I always have this like serendipity moment that I think about, like, if I pull out of here and I get in an accident and it's over for me, like, and someone meets my kids when they're 21 that knew me, and my kids ask them, what was my dad like? How they answer that question is how I live my life every day. Because they wouldn't remember me as an adult.
Yep.
as them as an adult, their only remembrance of me would be, as a child, and really who remembers anything when they're 4 or 7.
Thanks.
So the way that person would answer that question is how I treat everyone and how I try to live my
That's
life.
a great way to live.
I got 2 questions left.
Yeah.
Who do you want to be most proud of you?
Who do I want to be most proud of me? My mom. My mom over my dad, 'cause my mom's the one. My dad is my go-to when it comes to business topics and discussions. My mom is my go-to morally. She's the one that's in the back of my head at all times, telling me to do the right thing. And if I make her proud, that means I'm doing the right thing. If I make my dad proud, not to say that he's against doing the right thing, but if I'm make my dad proud, I'll be a lot more business oriented. My mom doesn't care about the business side of it. She just cares about me being a good
Worried
person.
about Sam Holland.
Yeah, worried about. She's the mind in my back of my head when I'm doing something stupid. She's like, yo, you probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah. Last question.
Yeah.
It's the last thing people are going to hear from Sam Holland on the podcast.
Talk to me.
What's the one thing you want to leave with everyone? Your lasting impact.
Thank God, I thought you were going to ask me like Mike McAllister, who's going to transfer here next.
No, we're deeper than that here, bro.
What was the question?
You got the floor. The last thing you want everyone to remember about Sam Holland on this podcast. Advice, one piece.
I'm learning as I go right now. Like everything I've done in my entire life, not my entire life, in the last 4 years, business related has been on the fly, where I'm learning as I go. And in the last 2 months, we set up a social media marketing agency. We set up a content studio. We got to shoot one of the biggest events in Central New York. And like all of that happened just because of belief and the grind. And genuinely, I remember the feeling 2 months ago, having done absolutely nothing, besides a couple small things, having done really nothing, and having no plan of how I was going to do it except the trust that I was going to figure it out. So like what I would say is if you're out there and you're trying to figure out what you're going to do and you have an idea, like doing something all at once is really hard. Like I always had big plans in my head, but executing on a big plan is really difficult. It just comes down to figuring out that first step that'll get you to your end goal. And like I always say, to close this thing out, there's no destination in life.
Journey is everything.
Yes, sir.
Where do they find you, bro?
Everywhere. Sam Holland.
Find him everywhere.
Sam Holland 2 on Instagram. For our page, No Destination Media on Instagram, No Destination Media on YouTube. And yeah, I'm always looking to connect with people. So tap in with me and let's talk.
The journey is everything. Love
Yes,
you, bro.
sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.